this manna, Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do is Wednesday, the On Your Mark show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel, every play I compete, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network. It's Wednesday, we up, here to educate and elevate. You got a special guest in the building, of course, my guy, Coach Jay, on the road, as usual, my guy, Coast to Coast Athletics and Epic Sports Apparel CEO. Special guest, Steve Sallis, man, listen, we go way back. I met him covering his son. Now his son is in school, but he's been in the media and helping kids get recruited, exposure type things. You know, he covers camps, everything that you want to know. This is one of those guys. Man. We're going to talk about that and more, as well as his son's journey through recruiting and how he navigated the process. Because listen, okay, playoffs are starting in the state of Texas. Okay,
right.
Some of those guys ain't playing no more. They're seniors, but they still want to go to school. You know, I'm sure your phone, Coach Jay's phone, my phone's been hot. Talking to somebody this morning. So the way that you have to do this, and we're going to talk about this today. You know, the season is over for a boatload of kids that are not playing in the playoffs, those 2025s that are graduating, and they want to go somewhere and play. We're going to talk about that and more, but we'll dive into my guy Sallis a little bit. Of course, each week right here on the Fishbowl Radio Network, the On Your Mark show, the best sports show on the Fishbowl Radio Network. Second-year award. We appreciate everybody that voted us as well. Sallis, man, appreciate you stopping by, man.
Thank you. I've been waiting for my invite
Absolutely.
for about 2-3 years.
But listen, Sallis is one of those guys that I've been communicating off and on with for a little while. And, you know, what kind of brought this back to today's episode, we're talking about a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just looking at the same kid before. I kind of, you know, I wanted to get your thoughts on him. And, you know, it had come to my attention, saw some of his film and stuff, and I'm looking at, like, okay, what's the deal? You know what I mean? Like, this kid can ball.
Yep.
And, you know, besides talking to you, several other people, within the same week,
yeah,
you know, same kid. But it's a thing where this kid is kind of just bubbling now. You know, his body of work is just taking off right now, this season. And, you know, those are the type of things that we talk about here. But as with every guest, you know what I'm saying, I like to dive into where they got. But Coach Jay, I'm gonna talk to you for just a minute. What it do?
Man, what's good, man? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's always great to be in the building.
Man, appreciate you for tapping in as always.
Good to hear you, Coach.
Man, hey, good to see you, man. I hate that I'm not there with you, brother, but I'm on the road.
I know.
Work.
I hear it. No problem.
Absolutely. So, first of all, tell me, you know, where you played high school, where you played college at, and how you got to what you're doing now.
Man, so the people who know me know I went to the greatest high school in America, man. I went to South Grand Prairie High School.
Okay,
man.
SGP. All
Class
right, for sure.
02.
Okay.
Started as a sophomore on varsity.
Okay.
We're probably the best team we ever had. They had B.J. Johnson on it, had Gavin Booth on it.
Right.
I could name all the legends.
Yeah.
I mean, BJ is a star. You know,
Absolutely.
He went to Texas with Roy Williams, and I ended up at Denver.
Right.
It was an amazing experience. I didn't know what I was into when I was playing there.
Well, you were kind of going through it at the time.
I mean, I was a small defensive tackle. They just told me to barrel crawl and keep the offensive lineman off my linebackers.
Right.
And we went 5 rounds deep, ended up losing to Garland in overtime in a rainy Texas stadium.
Garland win state that year.
They won
as well.
state against
Bohannon. Was it
the red team.
Okay.
Katy. I think it was Katy.
Yeah. Okay.
They won. They smashed Katy. And I remember a D tackle picked up a fumble in the state championship and ran it back for a touchdown. I said that was supposed to be my touchdown.
That was your touchdown.
Man, I played for a really great team. Coach Thompson. It was amazing, man. I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought we'd be back the next year.
Absolutely.
We went one round deep the next year, lost to DeSoto, and they had that running back. I was just talking about his dad the other day.
Handspar.
Nah. I think his son played for Frisco.
Tatum Bell.
Tatum Bell. I was just telling Tatum Bell Jr. I was like, man, I played against your dad.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then my senior year, man, went 3-7. Got some brand new coaches trying to figure stuff out. But I had the blessing to play with 2-3 guys that played in the NFL. One of my best friends, Remy Adele, played for New Orleans Saints. Yeah. He's standing over Brett Favre when they beat them in the NFC Championship, and he's on USA Today. Right. You know, part of that whole that Bounty Gate deal. Yeah. And, man, I had a great football experience in high school. The blessing of the Oklahoma coaches coming in my senior year, they sent all of us to Oklahoma schools. They sent one to OU, one to OSU. They sent 3 or 4 of us to Southeastern Oklahoma. They sent 3 of us to ECU, and I think they sent 2 of us to UCO. Right. And all the way growing up, just watching Texas A&M 11 o'clock in the mornings on Saturday morning after football practice. Right. I was like, I'm going to play college football.
Absolutely.
I don't care where it's at.
Right.
I'm going to play college football. Right. I didn't care about playing on TV. I just wanted to play college football.
Absolutely.
Didn't understand what that meant. I just knew I was going to work my tail off. I wanted to be Emmitt Smith. I wanted to work out. I used to look at muscle magazines when I was young in 3rd grade. You know, looking at muscle magazines, trying to see what stories I'm going to get on. You know, this 3rd grade, you know, I'm trying to do push-ups.
Right.
But, yeah, by the blessings of God, ended up at Southeastern Oklahoma, the greatest school in America, man.
Absolutely.
Durant, Oklahoma, ain't nothing to do but go to school and play football.
Absolutely.
Meet you a couple ladies. I met my beautiful wife from Denison, Texas.
Absolutely.
I had my son when I was up there, my first child, and I just had a baby about 2 years ago. Right. I met my wife up there, man, 2005. We've been together ever since, man.
Right.
So,
God
has been real good to me. I don't know if you wanted me to move into the recruiting part.
Well, I think, I'm listening to what you're saying about playing college football. It doesn't matter where. Yeah. And I think that's a big point. Let's start there. Yeah. Because right now, like I just said at the beginning, there's some kids that want to go to school that are done playing. We got the Texas high school playoffs starting first round. That's an extra week for those guys that are on the bubble to get filmed. But the other guys, they're already hanging their cleats up. It's done.
They disinfecting the pads.
Right. But I think the big thing here is, and that I want to make a point, and Coach Jay, I'll get you to chime in, is you made a point to where you wanted to play anywhere. It didn't matter where it was at the big house or where it was at the little house. Yep. You wanted to play. Talk about that mindset and how that can translate to these kids today, because I think it's a big point. Everybody's not going to be able to play for the Texas, the Oklahomas, to play in the SEC, to play in the Pac-12, to play in the ACC.
So I think it has really, I don't want to say it's social media. I think it's more of a culture thing. Social media has parts to do with it because people see it, and they see it early. You see 8th graders getting scholarship offers. That was unheard of back in our day. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, even the recruiting services. I mean, when I played with BJ, it was always known to us he was the best wide receiver in the country. Right. We had never seen any paperwork about that. There might have been the U.S. Parade magazine was our
Parade All-American.
Parade All-American was our base point. If you was on that list, we knew you were the best. Right. There wasn't, Rivals was out, but it was a small publication.
I don't think that they were concentrating on high school yet, though.
Okay. I remember my friend Remy, he got a Nike invite, and he was on a Rivals list or something.
Yeah, I think they kind of worked together a little bit. And that Nike invitation, the one they used to have down in at Texas Stadium and places like that.
And so that's all we knew. Like, we didn't know none of that stuff. We didn't know how recruiting worked. And it was a blessing because my coaching staff that was there before, they weren't quite worried about getting you to college unless you were going to Texas A&M, maybe a Texas State. Right. But the new coaching staff that came in from Oklahoma, they had connects all over the place. So, they could bring in a coach from Southeastern Oklahoma and say, here, I got these 3 guys right here. They got 3.0s. They want to go to school. They got great families that can be up there on Wednesday if you need them to be. And we took a trip, went to Bodacious Barbecue, had a great time. And we're like, man, where we at? We're in the country. I'm like, I don't care where we at. They got a football field. They got a locker room. They got a dorm. You talking about community restrooms?
Right.
Hey, man, sign me up, man. I'm ready to go. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was excited to be in school.
Right.
I don't want to say I never once thought about transferring, but we didn't really know what that was.
Right.
We just wanted to go to school. We wanted to, try to go to school as free as possible.
Right.
Try to get a check while we're in school.
Right.
And have a good time.
Right.
I think the kids nowadays, you got to have the mindset. Any kid I talk to about recruiting now,
Right.
I never say, oh, you're going to do one. I never tell them that.
Right.
I say, you're going to go where you're slotted.
Absolutely.
If that's FCS, if that's FBS, if that's, bowl championship, whatever it is,
Yeah.
we're going to get you there.
Right.
It might be D2.
Absolutely.
It might be NAIA.
Right.
But if you want to play college football, there's a place for you.
Right.
And, leading up to us having this conversation, I was thinking of some of my points I wanted to talk about.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest things is I want people to know is that if you start in the DFW, basically anywhere. There's
Right.
a couple schools now that, even probably my son's old school.
Right.
There's a couple schools where if you start there, we might have some work to do. But if you start in the DFW,
Yeah.
there's a place in America for you to go play college football.
Absolutely.
It might be in Sacramento, California.
Right.
It might be in East LA,
Right.
junior college. But
Right.
there's a place for you to go play college football.
Right.
Now, do you want to sacrifice the time, the money, and the time away from your family that it takes to happen? Or do you want to just sit back and go work out and hang with your friends and go play intramural basketball? Because not every college football is not for everybody because it's a job. High school football is glamorous.
Mm-hmm.
You get the girls, you get the pep rally, you get the coaches, you get the little interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves you at Southlake. Everybody loves you at Coppell. You the man.
Right.
But when you're at Southeastern Oklahoma
That's
and
not
you
the case.
redshirting
Absolutely.
and it's 2 o'clock on a Thursday,
Yeah.
ain't nobody worried about what you're doing.
No.
So you got to really love it. And I see so many kids go one semester and they come right back.
Yeah.
And I be like, come on, y'all. Like, we told you it was going to be hard. My little nephew called me, man, Unc, I don't know. Hey, man, get your head down, get used to that heat down there,
Right.
and go to school.
Right.
I always tell people when you go to school, somebody going to die, you're going to be ready to come home. Like, life is going to happen while you gone for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So be prepared for it now.
Right.
When I went to school, my daddy passed away 6-7 months later.
Right.
I found out I was having a baby 4 months later.
Right.
Like, life happened.
Right.
But in my mindset, I was like, all right, got to
Yeah.
keep pushing, though.
Right.
Because in 4 years, I'm going to have this piece of paper.
Right.
And that's going to change my life and my kids' life and my mama's life and everybody else's life. you know?
Right.
So at the end of the day, man, you got to be focused.
Absolutely.
You got to be focused. You can't be like, man, I might go try this out, see how it is. Nah. If you leave in Duncanville and you going to West Texas A&M, be prepared to go play.
Right.
Be prepared to go hang out in the desert for a minute.
Right.
Don't be like, man, I'm going to see how this is and I might transfer. No. You got to be focused and ready to go, man, because transferring ain't for everybody.
Right.
There's so many kids in this transfer portal that end up down in Houston smoking weed. And they don't end up playing football no more.
Right.
It's like you think it's all good. Oh, there's 2,000 kids in the transfer portal. Yeah, but only 85 of them getting picked up.
Man, say it again.
I know kids right now that need to be playing college football.
Right.
They went to a great school, and a coach left, and like, oh, I'm finna get up out of here. Nobody picked them up. They didn't even know how to. Thank God I had people like Stefan to help me through the transfer portal with my kid.
Absolutely.
But there's other people that don't know how to handle going through the transfer portal.
Right.
And now their kids not playing football no
Right.
more.
Right.
I need to shut up, man.
No.
People gonna start hitting me up, but like, man, why you talking about my kid, man? I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, it gets me frustrated, man.
This is what the On Your Mark show is about. We're here to educate and elevate and get you right. And the thing you have to do is talk to the parents to get to the players.
Yeah.
Because they have to have the right people in that circle to help make these decisions.
It takes a team.
It takes a team. Coach Jay, we talk about this all the time.
Marc, man, Coach Sallis is on point. Let me go back real quick. I think the difference between when all of us came up playing, we did not have social media, and we didn't have that monster of a plethora of options and, people really just kind of saying, hey, you can go D1 or you can go do this. It was about the competition, right?
Right.
It was about wanting to play, wanting to compete, wanting to, just be a part wherever that was. Now, you're gonna have, that opportunity, if it came to you to play, D1 ball. But I think for the most part, it was really just having that opportunity to play beyond high school, which was a huge deal. And I think now with everything being popular on social media, I think a lot of the younger kids are getting caught up in, and we talk about this all the time, in wanting to be liked versus loving the process, which is why we see on the sidelines kids like, oh, you here to take a picture of me? Oh, you here to write about me? And they hadn't even gotten the game yet.
Right.
No,
so man, don't start. I can tell you about that.
Wanting people to approve of them playing the game versus, not even caring who on the sidelines or who's in the stands, because you're there focused on the process of playing and getting better and getting, to where you want to go. If I think a lot of kids are just putting the cart before the horse, right? And then when you let them know, which is why you have so many kids that don't make it out their first year, because when they understand and it finally hits them that, oh, this is a whole lot of stuff I got to do. I wasn't signing up for this. I just wanted to play football. Right. I didn't come for this. I didn't come for that. I just want to play football. But the reality is, if we go backwards, which is why it's so important for parents to understand that you got to have help. The earlier you start with the accountability piece of empowering kids with what it's going to look like when you get out of high school. The thought process most of the time is, I'll be glad when my kid get out. I'll be glad when my kid go to college. But go backwards, did I empower you with the skills necessary to stay? That is the most important part that I think a lot of us are missing in this process, which is why so many kids fail when they get there. When life hit them, they don't have the necessary tools and that thing to go back to say, you know what, dude, this is what you need to do. You need to stay. You need to keep your head in. This is how you handle that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the big thing. We've been kind of running this down the last couple of weeks, especially about 2 weeks ago. A young man named Nick that Coach Jay is working with, and he came and told his story about the same type of instances. But it's the mindset that you have to have, and with the regular season wrapping up, you're seeing it more and more. People are getting kids are getting their highlight tapes finalized. They want to continue to play, but it's a small percentage at any level. I think it's less than 7% now. I think I read last week it was 6.5. It was 7% that go to the next level at any level of collegiate football. We're talking about football right now. It's a very small percentage, so you have to get in where you fit in. And I think the process is for the 2025s, just take that class because those are the seniors now. If you aren't already committed, or you aren't already having a relationship with these schools, no matter what level it is, it's a strong possibility that you could be left out in the cold. But you have to start being aggressive. I was telling someone the other day, you need to be posting something every day. You need to send this to these coaches every day.
Right.
You have to be consistent about what you do every day. And if you're not, then you can't wait on somebody to come find you. Right. I know some people say, well, if you ball, they're going to find you.
That is not true.
That's
that
not
was
true.
A long time ago.
It's not true.
That was a long time ago.
That is not
You guys
true.
are around this just like I am. It also matters where you play at.
As far as city or what school?
Real estate matters.
School.
Real estate matters.
It matters,
Real estate
but
matters.
it shouldn't be.
It's not the end all.
It shouldn't be the end all.
Right.
But it does matter.
It does
a kid
matter.
up from Duncanville compared to a kid from Creekview got a better opportunity going where they need to go.
Right. A kid from Duncanville that's a contributor, that's not a starter, has a better chance than a guy that could be a contributor starter at Creekview just because of the visibility of Duncanville.
Yep.
Guys like me.
And that doesn't have
guys
to be
like
the
you.
case.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be the case for Creekview if, the coaches and the parents understood what recruiting looks like.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, so I want to go.
Because you don't have to be a state championship team to get a scholarship offer.
No.
You don't have to win.
You don't.
You
You
don't.
don't have to go 5 rounds deep. You don't have to go to the playoffs at all.
Right.
There are kids right now that are done.
Right.
That won't make it in the playoffs and sitting on offers. So it's really the matter of, what you put on the field. And the biggest thing about schools like Duncanville and DeSoto, North Shore, or why they're heavily recruited is because they produce year in, year out.
Right.
Coaches want the least path of resistance. So I'm going where I know there is production. I know these coaches are getting these guys ready for high-level football, so I'm not going to go take a chance on a Creekview kid unless he just super, super stands out because I know what these guys do. I have relationships, and a lot of the high school coaches, for whatever reason, just don't put forth the effort, to build relationships outside of, where they are, and it hurts a lot of kids. Now, the biggest thing is, and this is something that I tell parents all the time, if your son is a senior and he has 0 offers, one of my very first questions is, do the coaching staff even know you want to play college football?
Biggest question.
And 95% of the time, their answer is no.
Right.
Well, how are they going to advocate for you and you never even spoke up and said it?
Ain't even got a Twitter.
Man.
Exactly.
Right.
So how can, you be at a small school and have dreams of playing college football and nobody around you know this?
Right.
So little things like that, just talking to one of my kids in the Midwest, senior, and I'm like, dude, have you committed? No, sir. Okay, why not? Well, my coach told me to wait. I'm like, and this was 2 days ago. I'm like, wait, huh? But you have offers, committable offers, right? Yes, sir. So what are you waiting on? After the playoffs, I'll get, bigger offers. And at that point, I said, okay, do I want to circumvent the coach or do I want to be honest and say, dude, you tripping? And it really wasn't a whole lot I could say because I don't want to step on the coach's, toes at the school. The only thing I could say to him was, listen, make sure that you're looking at all of your options. If there is money on the table at either one of these schools, look at them. And then something told me to ask the very important question. Do you want to go to either one of those schools that you're offered to right now anyway?
Right.
And he said, no, sir. I said, okay, that's why you're waiting.
Right.
It's not the fact that you're getting big offers. It's you don't want to go to the schools that has already offered you. So that's the main reason why you're waiting. So I said, just understand that the longer you wait, those relationships, those doors might close, and you're betting on something bigger. It may or may not happen, but just understand, do not lose those relationships just in case. Now, last thing I'm gonna say, Mark, on that part, parents need to understand this is something that is missed. And I explained this to him, and this was not to disrespect the coach or anything, just to give him insight on that situation. You're a senior. The closer you get to June, this is what I need you to understand. If a coach does offer you that late, the most important thing you need to understand about that is the type of work you're going to have to do when you get there. You got to double and triple, because the reason why he's offering you is because everybody else he's wanted said no. So you're the last option. Nobody else was willing to come. I got to find a body to fill this spot.
That ain't what you
so
want.
let me grab this guy.
Right.
So you're not that guy that we wanted. So now you got to come in and really put in extra work to be the guy that they've been recruiting for months and years.
Yeah.
So parents, y'all got to understand where you are in the process and the potential problems you're going to run into, here's the big thing. A lot of people don't even understand this. You're going to college, you're either going to be a practice player or you're going to get on the field. One of the two. Or you're going to work your butt off, and at some point get on the field. Not everybody gets to play, get in the game.
Right.
When they go to college, depending on what level you are. And this is throughout the whole time they're there. I mean, it is what it is. Colleges need guys that are going to be practice players. That's just the truth of the matter. Sorry.
Well,
some guys slip through the cracks and just really show out and make their way to the football field. But understanding the level of play that you pick should be matched with your ability and leverage and you being comfortable with the school and everything around it. But if you're chasing, this D1 mentality, you're probably spinning your wheels if you go in with the wrong mindset.
Go ahead, Steve.
No. I was listening to what you're saying. It's all great stuff, Coach. We appreciate you chiming in on that. But were you going to another subject, or would you want to stay with the recruiting?
We're still on that.
So I kind of wanted to talk about my kids' recruiting.
Go ahead.
And it's a long story.
Start because now this is how we met. And, he was one of the better wide receivers, tight ends in his class coming out. But go ahead. I'm going to let you tell it.
Okay. So, for y'all who don't know, my kid is Sean Sallis. He's currently leading the Southland Conference in wide receiving as a tight end. He's about 6'5". He's about half a millimeter short of 6'5". And he plays around 235, offseason around 240. Fully expect him to go to the NFL. He started out at Marshall University, coming out of high school. End up transferring down to Texas A&M Commerce, and a blessing in the transfer portal. And he loves it there, down there with Lil Tuck and killing the game. He loves it. The Southland Conference is the real deal.
Absolutely.
I definitely underestimated it.
Right.
We went down to Lake Charles. McNeese a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
McNeese is off the chain.
Yeah.
McNeese think they the University of Texas.
Right.
It is amazing down there.
Right.
So you tell me you take a kid down there and he don't want to play FCS football?
Right.
Come on, man. Lamar, that beautiful stadium they have? Okay.
Right.
Let me get back to my kids. So for all the people listening, please, parents, listen to this, because this is my strongest conversation that I have. My kid went to Creekview High School. Mm-hmm. We are a 5A barely. We were Division II at the time. Mm-hmm. And we ran the triple option. Mm. And this wasn't 1985.
Right.
This was 2000. He graduated 2022.
Yeah.
So, this 2019. And we ran a triple option. And the reason for his coach is saying to run a triple option is so we can control the clock. Mm-hmm. Basically, so when we get blown out, we can try to hold the ball as long as possible.
Right.
Because his freshman year, I want to say they were 1-9, 1-8, something like that. It wasn't any good.
Right.
And it wasn't because of the players.
Right.
For whatever reason, my kid walks onto campus about 6'3", probably 170, 180. And they looked at him, and I know he's probably one of the best athletes on campus.
Right.
He was on varsity basketball as a freshman.
Yeah.
They decided to put him on JV. We were like, fine, that's cool. Goes, plays JV ball as a freshman. Best player on the field every single time he plays out. Blocking punts, catching balls, running balls, doing whatever. I mean, it's scary.
Right.
I'm thinking they're going to put him on varsity by the time the end of the season starts. They don't, whatever. It's cool. Sophomore year comes around. My hands is ready to go. I've been watching Trajan Bridges do his thing over at Hebron.
Shout out to Trey.
We played Little League ball with him and Coda.
Yeah.
Coach Jack is one of my real good friends.
Absolutely.
We just got through talking.
Yes, sir.
He's one of the probably the reasons why I'm here on this podcast today, because he taught me a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
So either way, sophomore year comes around. We getting ready. My kid's going to be the man on campus. Everything's going great. We still running triple option. Second scrimmage of the season, one of the last few plays of the scrimmage, they decided to throw my kid a ball. They hadn't thrown him a ball all the last 2 scrimmages. He jumps up, trying to make a miraculous catch because, of course, the quarterback couldn't throw. He ends up landing on, I think it was Forney, one of the safeties at Forney, landed on top of him, ankle breaks.
Wow. Okay.
In the sophomore season. I already got LSU lined up. I already got Auburn lined up. We finna go do some recruiting.
Right.
Can't do it anymore. We're like, dang, man, what we gonna do now?
Right.
I'm in the emergency room crying.
Yeah.
Because this is my kid's career. I know they already jacked them all, took everything away from him freshman year. It was frustrating, man. So didn't do nothing sophomore year. I'm like, cool, no problem. We'll get ready for 7-on-7. No problem. We playing 7-on-7 with Glenn Rice out of Lancaster, Coda Bridges out of Hebron. We got one of the best teams in the area.
Yeah.
You know, we're a mom and pop team put together. We out here smashing folks.
Right.
2 weeks in the spring, we with Stephon Johnson. With Stephon was on the team. You know what it was.
Yes, sir. I do.
2 weeks into 7-on-7 that spring, after my kid in the rehab and got his ankle right, here come COVID shutting us down. I'm like, how in the world am I gonna get my kid recruited?
Yeah.
So then Coach O, a couple other people started having like little small camps that we could do. You know, Oklahoma's opened up a tad bit more than Texas, so we're going up to Oklahoma doing a few things. I think we went up there for a UA All-American camp or something like that, and just because they were a tad bit open. But
right.
COVID shut down everything.
A lot, yeah.
And so going into his junior year, we don't even know if we're going to have a football season. Like, how am I going to get my kid recruited when we have a football season? He don't have any film. He's 6'5", 180. I don't know what we're going to do.
Right.
So either way, football season happens. Once again, we're running a triple option.
Mm-hmm.
And they throw my kid the ball 3 times a game. I tell him, when you touch the ball, you have to score.
Gotta go.
It can't be no cutting in, get the first down. We have to score. I don't care what it takes.
Right.
We get great film coming in the junior year. Coach O is really helping us out, pushing them on Twitter. We get our first offer from Morehouse. Morehouse?
Yeah.
The one in Baltimore? What's the one in Baltimore?
No. That's
Morgan State.
Morgan State.
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
Morehouse
Morgan
is
State.
in Atlanta.
I'm sorry, Morgan State. I really appreciate y'all for the first offer. Morgan State gives us our first offer. Things start taking off. Every time my kid touched the ball, 100 yards, 80 yards. You know, he's averaging 100 yards a game. We end up getting stars. Got our stars that February of his junior year. Things take off. In that process, I have to learn so much because we got to get over the broken ankle. We got to get over COVID. We got to get over running the triple option at a non-winning team.
Right.
And still try to get him to be a 3-star.
Right.
We're competing with Duncanville, Southlake, everybody else in the country.
Right.
But right here in DFW, this is a hotbed of recruiting. Mm-hmm. And we're the worst team in it.
Right.
But I got to get my 6'5" kid recruited.
Right.
And the way we did that was by learning the blueprint. I call it the blueprint.
Yeah.
The blueprint is going to see schools, having your Twitter posts right, having the media be your best friend.
Right.
Because they are the key. Mm-hmm. And building a team around you.
Right.
And when I say a team, parents don't understand what I say by that. Mm-hmm. I mean the media people. I mean your trainer. I mean your 2 wide receiver coaches. I mean your recruiting coach.
Yeah.
Like, it is not a one-man person that helps a kid get recruited.
Right.
Now, you may have a booby feaster that might have 80 offers by the time he's a freshman. That stuff is easy. Right. But there's one of those guys in the DFW. Right. And there's a million kids that want to get recruited.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about the million kids who want to get recruited. Right. There's a blueprint to help you get recruited.
Right.
And for those of y'all, for the parents who are out there, a lot of kids probably not watching this podcast. It's probably the parents who are trying to figure out how in the world do I get my kid at Skyline to get recruited when he's a 3rd-string backup center. Right. This is how you get him recruited. You start when he's a freshman. You start when he's a sophomore. I don't care if he's starting. I don't care if he's 5'8". If you think he's going to want to go play college football, somewhere there's a 5'8" center somewhere that snaps the ball great and is getting a partial scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start preparing that way.
Right.
It takes time. It takes money. It is not an easy process of being recruited, because if it was, everybody would do it.
Absolutely.
And you have to make the decision, okay, we're going to become a recruited family. And parents, if you don't think it's going to take time and take away from your job and take away from your funds of your life, yes, it is. You can't go to Cancun for the next 2 weeks or the next 2 years, because you're going to be taking a vacation to the University of Central Florida to see if your kid can go to one of their camps.
Exactly.
And that's what I be trying to tell parents. Like, it's when parents work with me, I tell them. I told one of my parents the other day, he said it wasn't a good analogy, but I say, I'm just the gasoline that goes into the car.
Right.
I'm just leading the engine where it needs to go. You have to steer the car.
Right.
Your kid has to be in the back with his backpack.
Ready to go.
All I'm doing is showing you which way to go. I'm showing you who to go talk to. I'm showing you what camps make sense to go to, what camps don't make sense, because there's some camps out that you don't need to waste your time on.
Right.
There's some all-star games. Just because they send it to you on Twitter and say it costs $1,500 to sign up, don't mean you need to go to that all-star game in Florida. I'm sorry, big dog.
Yeah.
It ain't worth it.
Right.
But there's some things that you can do to get you recruited. And I'm not going to say it's going to take $1 million, but I will say with my kid's situation, we visited 19 colleges in 4 years.
Right.
Some of those colleges, we just knocked on the door and hoped that they unlocked it, because we was at COVID. We was out at Clemson after a 7-on-7 tournament with Flex. We stayed back a day later and drove an hour to Clemson and said, what's up? We didn't get to meet nobody, but we got some good stuff out of it. We got to go walk on a beautiful field, I promise you that.
Right.
You know, but you got to do some stuff out of the box, man. When you go to these universities, when these coaches invite you to a game day visit, you got to start getting people's phone numbers, whether it's a parent or whether it's a coach, whether it's a recruiting coordinator who probably not going to be at that school next year. They're probably going to be at University of Minnesota next year.
Absolutely.
You got to connect with people, man. All it is networking.
Right.
It ain't easy.
Right.
But it's not as hard as you think it is.
Right.
You can your kid can go play college football if they want to. Now, they got to be mentally ready.
Right.
To leave home. They got to be mentally ready to deal with grandma going to the hospital and them not being there to be there to hold a hand, because it's going to happen. They got to be mentally ready for when they got to miss somebody's birthday party because they got 2 days on a summer afternoon.
Right.
And they can't come home.
Right.
But they got to, it's possible, man. And I had such a great experience at the great Southeastern Oklahoma State University that I want every kid who wants the opportunity to go play college football.
Right.
And money shouldn't stop you. Your circumstances shouldn't stop you. Hopefully your grades don't stop you. I tell kids when they freshmen, don't play with
piece. That's a key piece.
Don't play with them grades when you're a freshman, because those will be that C and now that D in English your freshman year might mess you up.
Right.
Funny story is Duke tried to recruit my kid, and because he had a C his freshman year, they're like, oh man, we can't even look at his transcript. Come on, man.
Right.
It's just little stuff like that. Rice, same way. Rice, man, we can't look at him because of the transcript.
Right.
So my kid's situation was very unique. The biggest one, because 2 biggest ones, he was at a school that didn't get recruited very highly, and because of COVID. Right. And I know a lot of people had to deal with COVID, but with us it was frustrating, because anytime we walked into a building, my kid is 6'5".
They gonna notice.
He's a light-skinned, yellow-boned kid,
right,
who's big as heck.
Right.
And he doesn't have my personality, but he makes a room blossom.
Right.
And when you see him, you're like, dang, he can play football. I can just look at him.
Right.
And when you can't walk into rooms and do that because of COVID, it's frustrating as heck. You know, we send him videos of him doing this on the wall,
right,
and doing squats and stuff, because coaches want to see, you know, what he looks like.
The functional movement.
Yeah, they want to see all that stuff.
The wingspan, all of those things, the hands, you know, those are all of the things. But listen, here's another good point that I think that you made without saying it. He had the measurables too, though.
He did have the measurables.
Now some of that goes with saying this is online. You can go look it up, and it's in the recruiting blueprint that Coach Jay has as well. You need to pick that up if you haven't.
Yes.
Each position has slotted out things specific that they're looking for. You know what I'm saying? And I only know this because I was one of the media guys that covered your kid and all of that kind of stuff. But he had the measurables as well as the athletic ability to go along with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that you have to look at. I mean, you mentioned a 5'8" center. There's only a certain slot that he can go to.
Yeah.
But
there's a place for him.
There's a place for him.
There is a place.
But you have to know that too.
You have to know that.
You can't be oblivious to think, okay, I know he can play. He's good and
Yeah.
and he might be good on film. But if he's 5'8", he's not going to go to Michigan playing center.
He's not going to Michigan. A lot of people don't understand that.
That's my point. You know what I mean? You have to go. First of all, you have to go where you're loved, not tolerated. You have to go where they have a place for you and a plan for you. When you get there, you have to make it happen as well. Absolutely. I think that's the thing that people don't get as well is, if you have offers from a D2, go to that D2. Now, here's my other point with that. It's in the players' advantage now. If you go to a place like that and you become all-conference, you become All-American, now you can level up.
Yeah.
But you can use that as your so-called junior college or development couple of years, but you got to get on the field. You can't. You can take a red shirt, but you got to get on the field. And I think those are some of the things that you have to know intrinsically in doing your due diligence and have someone telling you these type of things and be truthful. Don't try. There's people out here that's not in the kids' best interest, have the parents' best interest when they go to the table with these things.
And that's a problem. NCSA, is that the name of them?
Yeah, that is.
Trash. Who's that boy say?
Bubba Dub.
Trash. Hey, man, when I say my kid freshman year, we having the whole family. My kid has 4 parents. He got me, my wife, he got his mom, and her husband. And we do everything together. We make family decisions about his football situation all together. When I say we got all 4 of us on a phone call,
right?
Talking about, y'all can do all that?
Right.
And I started thinking, wait a minute. They talking about emails.
Right.
The email is on the website.
Right.
What I need y'all to go get the email for?
Right.
Y'all making phone calls?
Right.
This how I'm get my kids to Texas?
Right.
Man, y'all lying, dog.
Yeah.
And I found out shortly, and of course I could ask a few people unlike some other parents, but I don't want to get your show disbarred.
Right.
But it might be a scam, brother.
Right.
They might be a scam. They might work for D3 girls soccer or something like that.
Right.
But if you want your kid to go to Tennessee to play college football,
right,
that is not where you need to spend your money.
I will tell you this, and Coach Jay, I know you can attest to this as well. I've had people call me about that, and I told them the same thing you kind of said. That's not what it's for. And even I had conversations with them because they reach out to you. When my son was playing baseball and stuff. But I had coaches and things. He played. Travel ball and stuff, those coaches and stuff. So I was kind of more involved with them than in the recruiting process than NCSA. But we took a phone call or two. But, at the expense that they pay or they want you to pay, it's just not worth it. You're better doing it on your own, honestly. And that's not a knock on those guys. It's just what it is. It is what it is.
I don't like parents wasting their money.
Right.
When I find out that a parent is spending money to go to an out-of-state camp for so-and-so's camp in Florida when they could have been at Frisco when they were doing the next gen camp.
Right.
And they could have did that for free.
Right.
I'm like, why would y'all spend that money? Oh, we didn't know. It's like, that's the problem.
Right.
And it's like, that's why it takes a team.
Right.
That's why you got to have a trainer who's in the know of things.
Absolutely.
And he's getting phone calls from coaches, and he knows exactly where
right.
you need to be. Or he's running a 7-on-7 team. That's a national 7-on-7 team.
Absolutely.
That's going to get you stars. It's going
right.
to have reporters at practice
right.
to make sure they know who the next 4-star and 3-star guys are.
Absolutely.
That's why you don't do your mom and pop 7-on-7 team.
Right.
I'm sorry, mom and pop 7-on-7 team, but when it's time for my kid to get a scholarship to the University of Marshall, I don't need him to be hanging out with the people who's not going to get him to where he needs to be. Mm-hmm. He needs to be playing next to Evan Stewart. That's where he needs to be.
Right.
Because we got to get him on that same level. Because he's at Creekview. He's not at Duncanville.
Right.
He's at the sorriest school in America, running the triple option, playing wide receiver, not getting the options like everybody else.
Right.
I need to do something else to get him elevated to the next level.
Right.
And it's stuff like that when you have a team like a Flex that's now Texas Threat.
Yep.
When you have a Coach Flight who's getting kids recruited afterward. When you have a Coach Hooks.
Yep.
When you have a D Rob. Like,
right.
you have to be associated with these people.
Absolutely.
Because this is what they do for a living.
Yep. Say less.
They're not recruiting coordinators. Go ahead, Coach.
Here's the thing, though, Coach. Here's the thing, Coach. Not to step on your toes, but neither one of those teams, neither one of those guys, and I know all of them personally, they cannot service every kid in DFW. So
Gotcha.
you have to look at, what makes sense. And unfortunately, flex has a cutoff. Unfortunately, hooks, flight, D-Rob, all of those guys have a cutoff. So they cannot service 5,000, 7,000 kids in the DFW area.
I agree with you.
It's up to the parents to, again, build a team, even if your kid is on a mom and pops, because flex was mom and pops. D-Rob started somewhere. Flight started somewhere. They were mom and pops, and they grew. So you have to understand as a parent, where you want your kid to go and then build around it. You can start off early in a mom and pops, but then as your kid, I think kids need to earn the right to level up, because when you look at progression, right? If your kid really, and these are things that we don't really talk about all the time. Does your kid eat, sleep, breathe football early, right? If your kid is just kind of sometimey and I do it, when I feel like it, are you headed to the direction of wanting to be an elite, D1 level athlete? Because again, you could be a 5-star talent in high school, get to college and melt because you don't have the intangibles of the work ethic needed to get on the field and be productive at the next level. Those things have to be instilled very early. And if we hand it to them and just say, okay, you can play football, so here, we're going to take you to the best teams, and without having to earn those things, nothing wrong with playing for a mom and pops, because the truth of the matter is your kid needs to learn and understand that it's football everywhere. Yeah. Now, how do you level them up from that, right? You can say, hey, you go to this mom and pops, you blow the doors off of this thing. Now I see you're serious, you're doing your work. Let's go to another level. But not every team, especially the teams that are nationally ranked, they're not going to take everybody.
Right.
Truth of the matter, they're not. They're not going to take every single kid. So now you're telling parents, hey, well, don't go, to the mom and pops if you can't get on this nationally ranked team. Right. Now they're not going to have anywhere to go, because in their head, that's almost like D1 above mentality.
Right. Well, not to cut you off. I think his point. I think the point that Sallis is trying to make is the exposure piece to get there. It's one exposure piece to get there.
Right.
I think that's the point. Yeah. Exactly.
That's why I want to make sure that we as parents understand that there is levels to it. Again, just like the school.
Right.
There is levels. So early, as your kid grows, as your kid gets better, if the exposure isn't there on whatever you're doing outside of the school, you help that, right?
Right.
For me, I don't care what team my kid is on, because I'm going to give them the exposure. If you balling,
right,
you're going to get the exposure. But that's just me, because I know how to do it.
Exactly.
You know how to do it.
Yeah, but you know how to do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know how to do it.
So the thing is, parents have to be, one, educated, two, and open. But we have, well, here's another thing. Parents, you got to be present. I'll say that, right? I hear so many stories of, parents dropping their kid off at practice and, leaving and not knowing what the heck is going on and complaining about what their kid isn't getting. If you're not present to see how your kid acts day to day in practice, at least 2 practices a week, you got to be there watching how your kid practices, what they do, how they're being coached, how they respond to coaching. It's more than just being able to play football. You know what I'm saying? Can you be coached? Can you do what the coach asks you to do? Can you get information, and then can you make that information happen on the field of play? So there are a lot of different factors that go into everything that we're trying to say as far as what's going to make a great, elite football player. But definitely, the national teams will get your kid the exposure but you can also take that mom and pops and help them become a national team by teaching them or getting the right people to help them help themselves. Because not every team was a national team when they started out. They just put in the work to become that.
Absolutely. But listen, man, as usual, we get out, we start to really get hot and heavy, and we run out of time every week. I promise you.
Man.
But listen,
never ending story.
Listen, let's revisit this in a couple of weeks. Let me know another Wednesday when you can come back, because there's a lot more things that we got to cover. Just let me know when you can come back. Okay. Listen, man, we had a great show today. This will be up on the On Your Mark Show YouTube channel later on today. Man, shout out to my guy Steve Sallis for coming through. Coach Jay, listen, each week, man, every week, right here on the On Your Mark Show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network. Hey, first week of the playoffs, man. Everybody that made it, we'll see you on the show next week. We'll talk about that as well, right here from the Fishbowl Radio Network, the On Your Mark Show. We out.
Great show.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.